low-value people. You cannot spend time with toxic people and expect to live a great life. Majority of your life with toxic people and expect to be happy.
Wake up! Choose people who hold you to a higher standard. Real people, honest people, genuine people, good people. Choose your crew. Don't settle like most people. Choose, and choose wisely.
It is your choice.
To another learning lesson right here on Street BHR, where we test your general knowledge on financial and business terms. I'm your host, Brenda Nyamichaba. Now, East Africa Cable is in talks with SBM Kenya, which is seeking to liquidate the loss-making manufacturer for defaulting on servicing a 285 million Kenyan shilling unsecured loan. The term we're looking at today is liquidation. In simple words, let me get to your understanding of this term. So let's go and find out.
Liquidation is a process whereby a company gets rid of its assets by selling the company. It's selling its assets so that the company can be wound up, be no more.
Liquidation, it doesn't even happen here. It happen liquidation ingine. It happen United States, you know.
In English term is digestion of something.
Okay.
So like if you want to liquidate an asset, like I have a bundle of money, I want to pieces, it's almost like a liquidation.
No. Liquidation?
Liquidation is a process of no. Hopefully, I got it wrong. So
changing a fixed asset into cash.
Maybe I make a pesa kwa bank.
Let's say you have assets that you want to sell, then you get cash back.
Liquidation is a term we come across quite a lot, whether we're talking about companies or we're reading it on the newspapers. Now, when I went to the streets to get to know whether you understand this term, I got very interesting answers. But guess what? We're back in studio and we're going to get a clear explanation of what liquidation is. And the economic analyst joining me today is the one and only Mr. Nahashan Otieno. Thank you so much for joining me on Street Shara once again.
You're welcome.
Now, let's just get down to it and you break it down for us. What is liquidation?
Liquidation in finance or in economics simply means the process of ending a business entity.
Okay, straight to the process of ending a business entity.
Yeah, the process of ending a business entity.
Okay, now how are losses of a company shared after liquidation?
There are so many ways, but it depends also with the memorandum of the business entity. But if the partners or the shareholders can decide to agree on how to share the losses. If they don't agree, then they can go through the court system. If that one still, they don't go that, then they can do that through their contributions. So that the person who contributed a larger share bear the greatest burden.
Okay.
They incur the greatest loss. Then the person who shared,
The least.
who contributed the least, incur the least share, the least losses. And like, just the same way, if there were profits made when it's being liquidated, then the person who contributed the largest share will want to do what? To get the most, or the larger part of the profit.
Okay.
So they can do that in terms of contribution or through court system.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Nahashan Otieno.
Thank you very much for that.
Well, there you have it. That's a clear explanation of what liquidation is. I do hope you understood as much as I did, because when I do come out to ask you this time again, I do hope you get the right answer. Now, that brings us to the end of this episode of Street BHR. I'll see you in the next one.
Why is it important to start your business fit? Because business is demanding. Your body needs to be ready. Successful business persons always stick to health first before the money. So join me, Douglas Karanja, on Shape Up every day at 6 a.m. on Metropol TV.
Each year, we outline critical strategies aimed at boosting the manufacturing sector through the Manufacturing Priority Agenda. The main reason we remain committed to this continuous process is so that our stakeholders, and mainly government, understand our dedication to providing practical solutions to the problems facing our country. Industry is currently operating in a very constrained fiscal environment. If we're able to achieve even 50% of our industry asks this year, the change in the economy will be immediate and far-reaching. Ideally, progressive tax policies are meant to create an environment for industry to thrive, and for this to happen successfully, tax measures need to be easy to effect, coherent, and predictable. They need to be designed to complement the overall economic ambitions of the country. However, so far, most tax measures specific to industry have not achieved this. And this is not an opinion by manufacturers alone. Last month, Stanbic Bank discussed their managers' index on manufacturing, observed that many manufacturers are opting to leave the country for better alternatives in the region. Their biggest pain points being an unpredictable environment and increasingly unplanned taxation. The government also suffers because revenue collection continues to be hampered, thus constraining the fiscal space to undertake development projects. And this has also been emphasized by the Parliamentary Budget Office whilst unpacking the 2021 budget policy statement. We need to urgently rethink our economic trajectory, a swift about turn to prevent further decline and to start stimulating growth. The solution lies in giving business room to do business, and the country needs to create a space that provides the much needed stimulus for industry to grow, become competitive, and increase productivity.
Organic farming is an integrated method of farming that strives for sustainable production in agriculture. Organic farming avoids the use of synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, antibiotics, genetic modification, and growth hormones. This concept was developed in the early 1900s by farmers who believed that the use of animal manure, cover crops, crop rotation, and biological-based pest control resulted to better farming system. In Kenya, organic farming started in the 1990s, and Kenya has been producing an estimated 5 million tons of organic food for the local and export markets. Of the total agricultural land in Kenya, only an estimated 1,469 hectares is under organic farming. Broken down in estimated acreage, coffee takes 240 hectares, vegetables take 598 hectares, cereals take 1 hectare, other crops like fruits and animal rearing take up the rest of the acreage. Organic farming is characterized by the following: protection of long-term fertility of the soils, maximum mechanical operation on soils, providing crop nutrients by action of soil microorganisms, ensuring nitrogen soil self-sufficiency by growing legumes, holistic management of livestock by addressing their natural adaptations, behavioral needs, and animal welfare. Weed and pests are controlled through crop rotation, diversity, natural predators, and resilient crop. Yields from organic farming is 25% lower than that of conventional farming, but this is counterbalanced by the price organic food fetches in the market. Most of the organic farming in Kenya takes place in the central region. Other areas with potential include the coastal, eastern, western, Nyanza, and parts of Rift Valley regions.
Tech fans, creatives, and those who like to stay trendy are about to have a favorite backpack. Introducing Keyback from Stilldrake, a futuristic backpack full of technological solutions, a bold design, and a special UV coating that eliminates scratches. Let's Keyback is the first of its kind innovative wearable technology backpack that fundamentally changes the concept of tech bags. Its design and notably the RGB display strip in the middle makes it impossible not to pay attention to it. The display allows for custom text or animations keyed in via a mobile app. It is also equipped with GPS Smart Alert system to inform you if your backpack is far away from your smartphone. In addition, it features durable anti-theft fasteners and an open-close latch mechanism to open and close your backpack effortlessly. The outer shell is covered with a special UV coating that eliminates scratches even after major impacts and falls. The shell and straps are changeable, so you don't have to buy a new keyback. The shell and straps are available in white, black, grey, and transparent. Keyback has 2 USB ports on its bottom to charge your devices on the go. This is made possible by the 13,600 mAh battery underneath. The backpack has powerful 10 watts bass speakers inside the casing to play your music and a large storage capacity that can fit a 13-inch laptop and other items. Keyback is set to be launched sometime this year and its price is still unknown. For more tech features, follow us on the social media handles at Metropol TV KE.
Let's take a look at the history of journalism in the country. Between the 70s and the 80s, the Kenyan media history was vibrant, marked by the arrival of many iconic publications. The Weekly, which was Kenya's longest-running political publication, had a reputation for strong analytical and investigative journalism. It was sold widely in many parts of Africa. The Financial Review and the Economic Review were also established in 1982, contributing to the growth of business journalism in Kenya. The 80s proved to be a difficult time for Kenyan media, following a coup attempt leading to severe restrictions. This atmosphere saw the emergence of an alternative media to fill the void. As a result, many publications including Beyond Magazine, the Financial Review, the Nairobi Law Monthly, and Development Agenda were banned in the late 1980s as the clamor for a multi-party political system gathered pace in 1992. Between the late 1980s and the early 1990s, the media continued to reflect the social-political agenda of the day, which mainly centered on the push to introduce multi-party politics. The Kenya Times was an English-language newspaper published in Kenya from 1983 to 2010. It was first published on the 5th of April 1983 and was founded by KANU, at the time the only legal political party in Kenya. The paper was originally known as the Nairobi Times. In 1988, Robert Maxwell, who also published The Mirror, bought a 45% stake in the paper. The remaining ownership was still held by KANU. The paper was subsequently rebranded and it became the first full-color newspaper in Kenya. It also launched a Swahili-language sister paper, that's Kenya Leo. Kenya Times briefly overtook the Standard as the second most popular newspaper in Kenya, of course after Daily Nation, but its popularity waned after 1992's general elections, the first multi-party elections in Kenya since the abolition of one-party system. Kenya Times stopped publication in early June 2010 due to financial problems.
Some people in the communities are very aware of the children with special needs. John Sambiri has been our inspiration.
Majina ni Rose Musimbi Ambuga. John alianza na 3 months kugonjeka.
Lotto bought us equipments that we needed in the therapy room.
Mtoto alianza therapy kama akai. Vile nilienda kumchukua masaa 8 nikikuja. Vile tulifika tu hapa hivi kwa plot. Na mtoto akachiachilia alianzanga tu kutembea hivi na anapika tu makofi mwenyewe anacheka.
The consistent therapy has helped John develop so much.
Napenda music.
With the children we have lots of happy moments.
Together, we are changing lives. Thanks a million.
You have to stand for something. You have to stand for something more than money. You have to be worth more than money. You have to be more than your achievements. You have to stand taller than what has happened to you. Where you came from, all of that. Sure, strive for achievement. Sure, make the money. There's nothing wrong with that. But never let that be your driving force. Have a standard which you live by. A standard that cannot be broken. Morals and integrity that no one can penetrate. With any amount of money. With any reasoning. It makes me sick to see the lack of integrity in some people. I'd rather die than accept money to do anything I don't believe in. I'd rather die than to do anything that is against my code of living. I'd rather walk alone doing what is right than follow the majority who are following the majority, who are also following the majority, all doing whatever they've been told. You have a mind of your own. Use it. I have standards, and no one will break those standards. I do not value money over these standards. I do not take the easy option over these standards. I live by these standards. I live by these morals, ethics, no matter what. If that means less money in the short term, by turning down things that don't align with my values, so be it. I can tell you, it will absolutely lead to a better life. In the long term, it will lead to pride and self-respect, knowing you are someone of their word. If it means life is hard in the short term because you refuse to do certain things or refuse to deal with certain people, so be it. I can tell you, it will absolutely lead to an easier life in the long term. A life with less drama, more peace, and absolutely more pride in yourself. If that means not listening to family, friends, respected figures because you know whatever is being said is wrong, be brave enough to stand for what you believe in, whatever it is. My soul is clear. I sleep like a baby because I know I don't break away from my morals and ethical guidelines. If you're not there yet, I beg you to do this for yourself. Set standards for your life that are based on what you believe is right and just. Not just what is right and just for you, but what is right and just for everyone, all living beings. Set morals and ethics that you will allow no one to break. No opinion can get inside this unbreakable wall. That is your code of conduct. Not everyone is going to be on board with this. Most people are weak in the mind. Most people choose the easy option over the ethical option. Most people choose the money over self-respect. Set the example for these people, not aggressively, not even verbally. Set the example in your actions and your results. Set the example by you setting moral standards that are unbreakable. And because of that, living a life beyond all comprehension. Not just a life full of pride, but a life full of achievements, abundance, and purpose. No matter how you conduct yourself in life, you are setting an example for those around you to follow. What example do you want to set? Do you want to stand for something more than money and achievements? What do you care about? Who are you? And what do you stand for? What do you know is right? Live by that.
Welcome to another learning lesson right here on Street BHR, where we test your general knowledge on business and financial terms. I'm your host, Brenda Nyamichaba. Now, the recent supplementary budget for 2019 and 2020 came with effect after its reduction to just 73.4 billion Kenyan shillings. Of note was key misses of funds for the top four agenda for the Jubilee government. Capital expenditure of 24.8% lower than the IMF's recommendation of 30% threshold by the International Monetary Fund. Now, the term we're looking at today is capital expenditure. Well, have you heard of it before? Let's go find out.
Capital expenditure is the money spent to start a business or a business venture.
That's how maybe you budget on your something, just generally budgeting.
Capital expenditure is the money in the consolidated fund. Now the government looks into it to see how it will spend its money through its budget.
This is the money that is being used by an organization or a business in acquiring the assets for itself, either buying land, motor vehicles, or something like we call fixed assets.
Is the money that you use to open up a business, the initial amount of money that you use to open up a business. So it means the money that you're going to spend on the capital that you're using, on the money that you've already opened up a business with.
It's the amount of money which we normally use on a daily basis, and actually before you do the budget. And the turnover, the capital turnover, that is the expenditure, which is the GDP, the gross domestic product, and the GDP at the end of the year, and actually what you have already saved at the end of the day after you have spent the rest of the rest of the money of the amount which you have.
It's the amount of money that one uses for their needs. Could either be personal needs or in terms of business, it could be either the money that you use in running, the daily activities of a business.
Capital expenditure is the gross expenditure or the net expenditure spent by the government, actually. Like it's the entire expenditure the government plans to spend in its economic in a given financial fiscal year.
Now, there's nothing I love better than getting the chance to see your answers when it comes to business and financial terms. And this time around, we were exploring capital expenditure just to get to know what exactly it is you understand by that term. Now we're back in studio and we're going to break it down for you from an economic expert. And the individual joining me today is the one and only Samson Medea. Thank you so much for joining me once again.
Thank you.
Now, Samson, what is capital expenditure?
In simple terms, I would like maybe to say capital expenditure. We usually call it as CapEx. These are funds. Yes, not too much complications, but these are funds or even monies a company use to buy, maintain. It's companies in terms of buildings, lands, vehicles. So totally these are funds used by a company in terms of either maintaining or even buying new in terms of items for a company, in terms of running a company. Yeah, you might not, maybe sometimes you don't have maybe land, you want to expand your business in terms of building, you want to own your own building, that is money you use maybe to buy the buildings. You don't have a car, that are the funds you use maybe to buy a company's car.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, on that note, why is it important for an economy to focus on its resources to generate revenue?
One, it's very important because I can be able to say it focuses on key factors of productions. Because if they don't improve, that means even the companies in terms of private sector are not going to improve. Like, for example, in terms of roads, they don't maybe spend and expand their roads in terms of infrastructure.
Okay.
No business is going to thrive. So it's very important if they want to reciprocate in terms of what the private sector is doing, and they want the private sector in terms of improve and spend and invest more in the country. They need to improve in infrastructure, in terms of enabling environment, in terms of entrepreneurship. Yeah.
Okay. Now, looking at into last year, what are some of the ways Kenya missed on utilizing its resources, especially when it comes into revenue generation?
One, I'd say in terms of improvement of infrastructure. You can be able to see in terms of people who are in business, they were complaining about access roads maybe to their destination of like, for example, if I go to agribusiness, where farmers are bringing their produce, it takes a long time in terms of the produce reaching the market. But if the access road in terms of infrastructure was very well, it will be take a shorter time so that they can be able to trade, and immediately that reciprocates to the government in terms of tax.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for that clear
Thank you.
explanation. Well, there you have it. That is capital expenditure. I do hope you got to learn as much as I did today on this episode of Studio Shower, which brings us to the end. But I'll
On the next episode of Metropol Special Report,
we have suspended learning in all our education institutions with immediate effect.
A lot of people can agree that it was very sudden.
We really need to be prepared for tackling anything that might disrupt learning.
Tell me about your experience, about your research and your presentation.
Well, I researched.
I don't feel good that my kids are doing virtual learning only.
I have candidates and I have to ensure they actually understand what it is they're going to be examined in. That's one of the reasons I decided let me just study with them at home.
If the problem persists for another 2 or 3 months, then the government will have no choice but to postpone the exams.
this and much more, only on Metropol TV.
You ask me what business is, I'll tell you its numbers. Profits are numbers. Losses are numbers. Sales are numbers. Everything in business is numbers. So once you begin to understand the importance of data before you make that business move, you'll fully begin to appreciate Metropol TV's database programs. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage, and this is Metropol Television.
Focus of body and mind is crucial for a productive day.
Work on the obliques.
We look at trends that affect your business day.
Who has a bird's eye view of the whole economy?
These are things that the government should be able to spell out for Kenyans.
An in-depth analysis of the markets.
Markets have been very fearful.
Deploy the capital into investment opportunities.
Business headlines covered extensively.
71 years.
Inspire the whole spectrum of entrepreneurs.
Maneuvered in the harsh economies and all that.
With financial and business literacy in a language easy to understand.
At the simplest form, contracts. The creation of the human mind.
As we look at the boss lady in her element as a woman and a boss.
That women can have access.
As we journey you through farms and produce markets.
This is money.
Taking a breather, and even in that, learn a thing or two.
Global map of growth rates.
Taking a look at the business of entertainment.
Movies, fashion, beauty.
Following the money in sports.
Then you widen your stance.
Before switching off our mics and let you have your say.
The economy is undergoing a serious hardship.
Looking at technology as it affects your day-to-day business.
The customer will get notification.
This is Metropol TV.
Turnover tax is a tax we have introduced for the informal sector. All those taxpayers who are making an annual sales total turnover of less than 5 million, they qualify to be in turnover tax. But we have exemptions. So who is exempted from turnover tax? We have corporates, we have some limited liability companies who are below 5 million, they are paying income tax. So they are exempted from this. We have employees. If you have a salary of 5 million and above, we don't say that you should pay turnover tax. So it means that you are paying PAYE. If you are paying rental income, you are also exempted from turnover tax. If you are a professional, you are a doctor, you are a lawyer, you are an architect, you are also exempted from turnover tax because you are paying income tax. So anybody who is in informal sector and earning less than 5 million qualifies for turnover tax. So for you to be in the tax net, you must have a PIN. And for you to have a PIN, it means that you must have an engagement with KRA for purposes of getting a PIN. We have over 14 requirements for one to register for a PIN. But for the informal sector, those who qualify for turnover tax, we have simplified this such that we allow you even to use just your ID and immediately use your ID to log into our system, which we have even made very simple. You will only be using your mobile phone to do that. So your ID will pull your details because we are integrated with National Registration Bureau, who is the custodian of all IDs in the country. So once you do that, you'll be having a PIN. And once you have a PIN, you will have turnover tax as one of the obligations, such that every 20th of the month, you declare what you sold in the previous month. And we have made it very, very simple, such that when you want to pay, you just go again and log into the system, pick turnover tax. The system will ask you, what do you want to pay for? I want to pay for turnover tax. And immediately you do that, the system will ask you, what is your turnover? What is the sales you've made in that month? If it is 1,000 shillings, the formula is inbuilt in the system. We don't have to tell our taxpayers to make calculations.
It's agriculture that is the key driver of the Kenyan economy.
Anakuletea na kuzia bei ya chini na wewe inabidi pia uzie customer na bei ile ya chini.
For fresh beans, I can say it actually brings a good income.
Kama ni gunia moja iko na 200 pieces, so hiyo shilingi 5 times 200.
Actually, rainwater is the best for crops.
Whether rain-fed or using rivers to irrigate.
Tunapanga kuweka drip line kwa shamba.
We had thought that we could pump the water with solar.
Different farmers have shared their stories on how they're turning produce to profit.
Akipata kama miti 300 hivi, atakuwa akiokota pesa kama majani.
This is money eating me.
All these we have extensively covered.
This is a test greenhouse. I put it up to see if we can produce organic tomato. I'm not lying, it's very sweet.
And different things that farmers are doing to make profit from produce.
Kuamua ukulima wa makadamia ilikuwa ni kama ndoto.
We are still growing.
Weka mbolea vizuri inakuwa kitu ya kukusaidia.
These are net caps.
Other than the French beans you can see, we also have veggies.
Assume the reason why you're using hydroponics is because of the soil-borne problem.
Catch us every week on the Farm Journal here on Metropol TV. This is the Farm Journal.
Coronavirus COVID-19 is a respiratory virus spreading across the world. The infection is spread from droplets of coughing and sneezing of an infected person, touching or shaking hands or being in contact with contaminated surfaces or objects with the virus. The signs and symptoms are fever, coughing, headache, body ache, difficulty in breathing. The disease can be prevented by regularly washing hands with soap and running water. Avoid close contact with people who have flu-like symptoms. Avoid handshake, hugs, and kissing. Also, protect yourself by covering your mouth or nose using a disposable tissue while coughing or sneezing. If you experience these symptoms and you had traveled or been in contact with a person from a country reporting COVID-19, you should isolate yourself for 14 days. Dial *719# or call 719. This message has been brought to you by the Government of Kenya and its partners.
Babe, tunafaa tujue status yetu.
Hapo hapana.
Unaniangusha msee. Na maanisha CRB status.
Wanaume ni madeni, hata gava iko na deni. Kwani mimi ni nani nisikuwe na deni?
Ni muhimu kujua CRB status yako ndio tujipange, ama
hakuna mtu akona hiyo time ya kuenda sijui hapa hill, sijui Huduma Centers. Mimi hata siendangi tao kugongea watu milango ati clearance.
Hebu lete phone yako nikushow.
Sawa, shika.
Ni simple sana. Una dial *433#, alafu unaweka agency code 430430, kisha utapata ripoti yako instantly.
Katoti wewe ni msharp. Ona kama ingia.
Neno kakoka sawa.
You can download the Cristobal app on Google Play Store. Metropol CRB services are also found in Huduma centers and in over 300 agents countrywide.
The entertainment industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. But the question is, how can you get a share of the pie? On E-Magazine, we follow the money behind the glam and break it down for you, making sure you get a share of the pie. Catch E-Magazine at this time only on Metropol television. Hi guys, welcome to Street BHR, the only place where we get to test your general knowledge on business and financial terms. I'm your host, Brenda Chaba. Now today I'm looking at a term that looks similar, sounds similar, and you might even know it, and that term is a turnover. And I'm not going to waste any more time because I'm curious to know what exactly Kenyans know about this term, turnover. Well, let's find out.
Turnover, like things are not going as you had planned, so they just like backfire.
Definitely, it's another term for sell. It's a sell.